obviously, and take their 6 best games. Like, what are their highest? Because Caleb's lows have been awful. But 6 games, half his games, 104 rating, 305 yards, 11-3 touchdown interception. It's in line with Jaden, better and worse in some categories. It smokes Drake May, who Wilds thinks is the next coming of John Elway, Josh Allen, and it's behind Bo Nix.
This.
I don't know if that's the way.
I just don't even take this graphic and I don't.
6 best games. What about 6 worst games?
With the 6 worst games, he would be he and Nix actually oddly would be close, but he would be the worst. Here's why it matters to me, because we saw what Caleb's potential was in college. The question is, were we going to see any of that upside in the pros? And he has had these droughts of nothing. But now we have as much of we have 6 awful games and 6 A-level games. And the question is, will that build? And and you can reject it out of hand, but it does feel to me like, and it's not just you, Wilds, the commentary about the 3rd quarterback taken in the draft has been, honestly, none of the mistakes matter. Only the upside stuff matters.
Because
he's playing with so much less.
Well, but in fairness to Caleb, I thought it was something, and I thought that you saw the exciting play, and I've talked about this before. You're seeing the plays that made him the #1 overall draft pick.
That's the
point. And quarterbacks develop at different rates in the NFL, and he's showing the ability to come back from a change of offensive coordinator to play like he did. And we say a lot about Minnesota's defense and how challenging it is and how many different looks they get. And for him to go and be that productive against a team that he's going to have to deal with year in and year out and flash like he flashed in college, I think it's something really positive that Bears fans should be excited about.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree with that. We still seem to have such ridiculous conversations. This is the problem with trying to force a take preseason. Okay, this is why, because you even hear Nick talk about this, and Bruce is like, I'm not a flip flopper. They made fun of Mangini for trying to like double down on a take. Nick has talked about how he thinks it's a cop out to not make up your mind or play both sides of the argument or whatever like that. You know, they try to view things black and white. And this is the problem. Because then you try to cook the books. You try to figure out stuff out. You're like, well, let's just take the best 6 games of the season and compare them to be like, see, Caleb's right here. And it's just like, it just doesn't even make sense to do that. It doesn't make it. We can talk about Caleb being a great player or developing without having to do kind of cooking the books here. This is actually what statisticians do all the time in statistics. I'm not going to go into the big details about it because honestly, I don't even care. And I'm not even going to pretend like I even remember all the stuff that I once upon a time knew, quite frankly. But you have all these aggressive statistical analyses to really be able to get to try your best to get to the reality of the data, right? To really try to get rid of some outliers, some extremes, the highs, lows, whatever it may be. It's not just like saying, hey, there's 15 people like this and 10 people don't like this, therefore the likes over the don't likes. It's just not like that. It just gets so much more complicated, where if you're doing research, whether it be medical, whatever it may be, you have like the lead researcher who's conducting all of this will have to pay another person whose just job is to solely focus on the stats. And they will then give all of those statistical breakdowns and the conclusions that are drawn, give it to then like the actual lead researcher, and then they will interpret that data. They'll then try to add more context to it. So it's its own beast entirely. And we see this used both positively and negatively, quite frankly. Sometimes it's to help you see things that aren't there, and sometimes it's just to make things up to be like, see, this is here. And you actually see that in sports all the time. You pretty much see the very small, more innocent way of doing that, of saying like, let's just look at this quarterback's 4th quarter numbers, or let's just look at his record on the road, or whatever it is, right? Like, that's what I always say, cooking the books here. And so we can have honest discussions about Bo Nix, May, Jaden, Caleb. We can do that without having to cook the books. Like, it doesn't matter. And so, yes, this game for Caleb Williams, I think, was awesome. I think it was actually his best game, even if statistically, and I don't really know, even if statistically it wasn't his best game. I was wildly impressed by this game because you absolutely see it and go, yep, That's why he was the #1 overall pick. I mean, I think he played great. He really stepped up. I mean, someone in the comment section was like, oh, he's the reason why they lost. He took that sack in overtime. He's the reason why they were even in the game in the first place. I mean, he made some huge plays, some huge moments. Yeah, that wasn't a good sack. Quarterbacks take bad sacks all the time. Rookie quarterbacks especially take bad sacks all the time. Just is what it is. Considering what they asked him to do in that game, and considering the fact that his team wasn't supportive enough, having really bad drop passes, muff punts, weird things defensively, he put the Bears on his back as a rookie quarterback against a divisional team, a tough team, a team that's, second best record in the NFL, a great defense, Brian Flores. That was a game for Caleb Williams to pop, to implode, to not play well. But he played really, really, really well. So if you're a hater of Caleb Williams, yeah, you'll continue to hate him. I mean, that's just the way sports goes. If you were neutral on Caleb and kind of like, hey, you know what? I kind of just want to wait and see. Credit to you. I tip my hat to you. This should be a massive win in the win column. Massive win in the win column. What he did situationally, the throws, the way he moved in the pocket, out of the pocket, scrambles, the way he uses legs to not only pick up big gains, but then also use his legs to extend plays to then throw the ball down the field. It was beautiful. It was great. He looked so comfortable. I'm trying to find my notes real fast, all over the place. He looked comfortable. He was confident. Of course, it's the last sheet in all my notes. I wrote he was comfortable, confident, on time, decisive. But again, to do that with a new offensive coordinator in a team that's obviously drowning, rookie quarterback, expectations still through the roof, people saying he's a bust, he's been exposed, he's not that good. To play how he's been playing, I think has been wildly impressive. Wildly impressive. But I don't see why, in order to argue that Caleb played well that game, we have to now say, let's take the 6 best games of the season of all these players. Like, it just doesn't even make sense. Seriously. I mean, like, this doesn't really make sense. Okay, let's take the 6 best games this season of these 4 rookie quarterbacks, but then let's now weight the defenses, the offensive weapons that they have, the coaching staff. I mean, like, it's just like, what are we doing here? Doesn't make any sense. And which stats are we favoring? Are we saying it's more important to have a better passer rating than total yards? Are we saying that from a quarterback perspective, passing yards is more important than total yards? What about touchdown to interception ratio? Is 13-0 better than 11-3? Right? Like, I don't know, because you have a couple more interceptions, but you have more passing yards, but then you have a better passer rating. Like, it's just, so like, who's to say right now? Who's the arbiter of truth? There is none. It's just whatever you want to say, honestly. So that's why I don't even see it as being helpful. We can talk about Caleb Williams' resiliency. We can talk about how he's evolving as a quarterback, how he's shown some great fortitude. I mean, I'm very impressed with what Caleb Williams has been able to do. And again, we can prove our point without having to cook books or make weird comparisons, honestly. So I think if you're a Chicago Bears fan, you should be incredibly happy with how Caleb has played over these last couple of games. It gives a lot of credence to the idea that coaching and culture are a fundamental problem. And if you can't see some of the flashes of greatness, of truly greatness in Caleb Williams at this point, I don't know, man. Like I said, you're either going to be a Chicago Bears or Caleb Williams hater, or you are just, again, maybe credit to you for being like that neutral and that tough to win over, which again, by all means. But he's showing some really great stuff that I think deserves a lot of praise, and more so than you would normally have to do under normal circumstances, considering just how badly the Chicago Bears have been run this season. I mean, it's pretty much as disastrous as it gets when you have to fire the offensive coach for your rookie quarterback mid-season. That's as bad as it gets. Firing the head coach, you could say, was worse, but when it's a defensive head coach, the offensive coordinator is that rookie quarterback's head coach. That is who he's working toward. I guarantee you he had more conversations with Shane Waldron than Matt Eberflus. I am very confident in that. Very confident. He's the one who he's texting, talking, looking at film, doing all that type of stuff. So to have that guy now fired and gone and say, all right, Caleb, he's now going to be taken over. Like that's a lot to overcome. It's a lot to overcome. And he's doing it with flying colors. So I think it's very impressive. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Caleb Williams, his performance versus the Vikings, how he's been playing since getting a new coordinator? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.